Hi, my name is John Prestel, founder of the Peace of Justice Organization and the Father's Care Movement. Our current mission is to build a coalition of 100,000 men and women to come together and change the laws to support healthy relationships between single fathers and their children. Currently, our laws do the exact opposite of that. I chose the name Father's Care for this movement because the name has a dual meaning. Father's care as in fathers do care, and father's care as in children in the care of their fathers. In this video, I'm speaking on the subject of father's care from a vantage point of both meanings. Father's care as in fathers do care, and father's care as in children in the care of their fathers. There's a misconception that fathers have no clue about how to raise a child. The perception is that if you hand a man even their own child, they'll look at you like you're crazy, like, what do I do with this thing? And look around for the nearest woman to take the child off his hands. Because of course, she will instinctively know. She will instinctively know what to do, right? She won't have to be taught anything about how to take care of a child, right? Well, that is the perception and the misconception, which is the product of a stereotype that is placed on men. The stereotype is that we don't know what we are doing when it comes to parenting. We have no idea. That we lack the innate ability to care for a child. That we do not have the parental instincts that are required to be trusted to properly care for a child. The truth is that fathers, in caring for a child, instinctively provide things that are critical to the raising of a well-rounded human being. Fathers instinctively know how to get a child to simply listen and follow directions. I frequently hear mothers talk about how unfair it is that children just listen to their dads. And all it takes is for the man to just make the request. I remember dating a young lady who had a young son, and whenever we were together with the son in our company, I would give him instructions, and he would follow them. And the mother would look at me when I did that and say, "Oh, so it's just that simple, huh? You just tell him to do something and he just does it without any extra fuss or theatrics?" Well, yeah, that's how it is. Children have a deep respect for a man's voice. I always thought it was kind of funny when I see a mother pleading with her child to follow a simple instruction that I could get the child to follow just by giving the instruction one time. No pleading, no negotiating involved. Fathers also instinctively instill confidence in children, encouraging them to face their fears and not be intimidated by them. Fathers instinctively know when to push children past their fears. Fathers know when to push children to do things that are good for them, but that the children may not like to do. For example, my daughter did not care for tummy time, which is when you place a baby on their stomach for a certain amount of time, a few times per day. And this helps them build their core strength before they learn to sit up and crawl and walk. My daughter did not like to do it. She did not like it at all. She would cry. Now, in the care of the ladies in her life, her crying was enough to get them to cut her tummy time short. However, I made sure that she did it. When she cried during the exercise, I would talk to her about why she needed to do it. Yes, I would talk to a 1-month-old baby about why she needed to do her tummy time exercises. I would talk to her about why she needed to do it, and she would do it. I'd get her through it. And eventually, she would not cry during tummy time, and her core strength improved quickly. Before you knew it, she was sitting up and crawling around. My daughter also had a fear of walking, or maybe it was the fear of falling in the process of learning to walk. In any case, I instinctively knew that I had to help her face that fear, especially when she was 16 months old and not walking yet. Now, the ladies in her life allowed her to be intimidated by her fear. They did not do anything to push her past that. Some of them did not like the idea of me training her to walk, particularly when she would cry during the exercises. But it was necessary. In our lives, we encounter milestones. Some of them are more difficult than others. For some children, the walking milestone is not so intimidating, but something else in their early years will be. And when they face an intimidating milestone, it is very important to teach them how to negotiate their fear. It is a critical life skill. Those who do not learn this skill will be severely limited in their lives on what they're able to accomplish. Even the amount of time that they're able to survive on this earth will be limited. For my child, one of her early, more intimidating milestones was walking. So I simply began to get her to practice walking every day for at least 20 minutes. No matter how much she cried, no matter how much she did not want to do it, I would patiently work with her, getting her to take step after step, starting out holding both of her hands, then just holding one hand, and eventually I let her go and have her take a few steps without holding either of her hands. And within a month of engaging in those workouts, in those walking workouts, if you will, she was walking. Yes, she cried through the workouts. Oftentimes. But within a month of engaging her in those workouts, she was walking. Parents know best. Mothers and fathers make significant contributions to the raising of children. The idea that fathers just don't know what they're doing when it comes to raising children is a fallacy. The idea that fathers are just obtuse, that they're just simple-minded when it comes to raising children, that is a fallacy. The idea that the parenting skills of a father do not instinctively kick in when they have a child on the way and when the child arrives, that is absolutely false. When I first met my ex-wife, I asked her if she wanted to have children, and her response was that babies scare her. In May of 2015, I was pretty darn sure she was pregnant. I noticed that she had missed her period, but as of mid-May, she had not told me that she was pregnant yet. But like I said, I was pretty sure, so I was excited. I was very excited. I started to look up all kinds of information on pregnancy and the whole process. And one evening, I was looking at birthing videos. I was looking at videos of women giving birth. And my ex-wife, she saw it. And this disturbed her. She didn't think we were ready to have a child. Now, she was already pregnant, mind you. She was already pregnant. But she didn't feel like we were ready. She was never sure about having children. I was always 100% sure. In fact, I wrote a poem about my first child 7 years before she was born. You can find it right here on YouTube. If you look it up, John Austin Lullaby. My middle name is Austin, it's spelled A-U-S-T-O-N, and the poem is called Lullaby. I wrote that poem in 2009. My daughter was born in 2016. So I was absolutely certain that I wanted to be a father. Like I said, in May of 2015, I was pretty sure that my ex-wife was pregnant. And I was absolutely sure that I wanted to have this child with her if she were indeed pregnant. I wanted this even though I knew that at that point, 2 months into the marriage, that she and I were not a match at all and would not likely be married for long. Now, that may have been stupid of me to want to have children with her even still, but what I'm pointing out here is that I wanted a child. I very much looked forward to it. I was sure. My ex-wife, she was not. This flies in the face of the stereotype that says if anyone in that situation would be contemplating putting things on hold, it would be the man. That was not the case here. My ex-wife, she had a conversation with me that night she saw me watching the birthing videos, and she proclaimed that we were not ready. She suggested that she go get on birth control. Now again, at this point, she was already pregnant. And I believe she knew she was, but she was just in denial about it. Well, I expressed my discontent with her proposal, but I could not tell her what to do with her body. And that's what I told her. I told her I wanted to have a child. She knew, before we got married that I wanted to have a child. But ultimately, I could not tell her what to do with her body. She could definitely see I was disappointed, but her position was that we weren't ready. Well, as it turned out, of course, when she went to the doctor to see about getting on birth control, she found out that she was already pregnant. And when she officially let me know, those parental instincts that fathers supposedly do not have, they kicked in. I was ready. I took everything in stride leading up to our child's birth. Never was I scared of what was to come. Never was I concerned about the responsibility that was upon me. My ex-wife was very concerned. Again, she said that baby scared her. Now granted, I did not have to push our child out of my body. That was something that I did not have to worry about. Women have to deal with the fear and uncertainty of the delivery. I witnessed it, of course, and it is quite a task. It is something that I will never fully understand. However, what comes after that, the responsibility of taking care of a baby, I do know about that, and I was more than ready for that. Babies do not scare me. Fathers care. And yes, fathers instinctively know how to care for a child. Fathers do instinctively know how to care for a child. Fathers are instinctively close to their child and instinctively want to be very involved in the lives of their child. I happily experienced the sleepless late nights feeding our daughter every 2 hours, changing her diapers what seemed like 20 times per day, giving her first bath when she somehow managed to poop all over herself, like literally all over herself. My ex-wife and I, we alternated week to week preparing our child's food. Being the more health-conscious parent, I was very much invested in the nutrition of our child. Once my ex-wife stopped breastfeeding, I prepared our child's milk, at least 90% of the time. I didn't like the idea of her drinking cow's milk, so I came up with a mixture of vegetarian milk, which consisted of oat milk, almond milk, hemp milk, and coconut milk. It's very good, by the way, you should try it. I did the majority of the cleaning around the house so that my daughter would have a clean environment to live in. I was and still am very protective of our daughter. I did not want our daughter in daycare because I did not want her raised outside of the home for 8 to 10 hours per day, especially at such a young age. I did not want her exposed to the sicknesses that children frequently pick up from daycare. And I did not buy this logic of sending them to daycare to get sick so that their immune system can get stronger. Immunity by immersion. No thanks. Not for my child. I prefer prevention with proper nutrition and guarding against exposure to bacteria and viruses that can make a child sick. The same approach that I use for myself as an adult. I eat right, and if I know there's a certain place where it will be more likely for me to get sick if I go there, well, I just don't go. So why would I send my child off to get sick? Now, I know that many parents have no choice but to send their child or children to daycare, and I understand that, but I had a choice. I'm just saying I had a choice. I had a choice because my work schedule is very flexible and I work from home quite a bit, so having a nanny come to my house rather than send our child to a daycare, that is an option for me. It's an option that I exercise. It allows me to keep a closer eye on our daughter. It allows me to spend more time with her. My ex-wife wants her in a preschool 8 to 10 hours per day at 3 years old. Like, here y'all, take her. That's how I see it. To me, it's crazy to have a 3-year-old in daycare if you have an option to have them at home. That's just me, that's my opinion. Now, I know some parents of my generation, Generation X, and even more of the millennials, believe that a child in school at 3 years old is a good thing. And I'm not here to argue that. I'm not here to argue whether or not that's a good thing or not. What I'm pointing out here is that here's yet another situation that flies in the face of the stereotype that fathers just do not want to be involved in the lives of their children. Based on the stereotype, you would think that it would be me wanting to send my child off to daycare at 1 year old, when I have the option of having a nanny at home. But in my situation, that was not the case. It was my ex-wife who wanted our daughter in daycare at the tender age of 1, when we had the option of having a nanny at home where I could spend a lot more time with her because of the flexibility in my work schedule. It was me who strongly objected to the idea of our 1-year-old child in daycare being raised by people who do not love her. Our nanny loves our child, and our child loves her. If I have to leave my child in the care of anyone, let it be someone who loves her. I did not want to have to leave my child in the care of someone outside of my home at a love-lacking daycare unless I absolutely had to. My policy was that when my daughter can speak well enough to tell me what goes on when I'm not around, well then I would consider some sort of daycare or some type of preschool. I object to the notion that they should be put in daycare or preschool for the social skills they learn. In fact, that is one reason why I think they should not be put into daycare early, because of the social skills they learn. the bad ones. I take my child to children's church on the weekends and play dates as well, where she does get to socialize with other kids, but she socializes with other kids under my supervision. That way, if she is exposed to bad habits during that time, I can correct it immediately. There is no going to daycare as a respectful little girl, but returning a fit thrower because it is something that she picked up at daycare and can get away with at daycare. When I take her on her play dates to socialize, Daddy is there to make sure that she does not forget her home training. Now again, my point is not to argue against daycare. I know it may sound like it because I just spoke for several minutes about daycare and why I don't like it and all that, but that is not the whole point. What I'm doing is I'm using this example to illustrate how the stereotype of fathers not wanting to be involved in their children's lives is simply not true. Yet, the stereotype continues to be perpetuated. Recently, my daughter contracted a cold and I was nursing her back to health. I had picked her up from her mother's house on a Wednesday evening, and that next day, Thursday morning, she was displaying cold symptoms. Into the second day of her illness, I was telling a young lady that I know about it and what I was doing to get her better. And the lady responded to me saying, I don't know how a mother could let her child be away from her while she's sick. She said that if she were my child's mother, that she would call me and tell me to bring her home. Now I was offended. I was very much offended by that because I thought, this is my daughter. I am her father. Why would you think that I'm not capable of nursing her back to health? Why would you think that I'm less loving or any less nurturing than her mother is? What was even more offensive about it was the fact that this young lady had complimented me several times before about me being a good dad. Yet somehow she thought that I should not be the one nursing my child back to health. For the record, I picked up my daughter on a Wednesday evening, and by Sunday she was all better. It was not that hard. Lots of liquids, vitamin C, food, frequent changing of bedclothes, a quick doctor visit just in case, and love. That is how you nurse a sick 3-year-old back to health. Stereotype, kaboom. Now, men do take care of and nurture children differently than mothers do, but that is okay. As long as it is done with love and the job is getting done, that is okay. For example, a mother preparing dinner for her child might place a lot of emphasis on the presentation of the food. She'll probably set the table and be sure to have a salad fork and a soup spoon and napkins and all that jazz. Whereas me, or fathers like me, we might have, my daughter and I, we might have dinner sitting on the couch while watching the news. I might just put the food on the plate and feed it to her while she's being silly playing in the living room with her guitar. I remember when my dad used to cook for us when my mother wasn't available, and it was always just a little different. He had a different style of cooking, a different style of presenting it, but it was a welcomed change. Now, fortunately, my dad could cook almost as well as my mom, but again, he cooked it and presented it in his style. It was different, but it was good. I also remember my dad caring for me when I was sick, when my mom wasn't available. And he did just as good a job as my mom would in nursing me back to health. Fathers care. When my dad spent time connecting with us, it was different. When he spent that quality time with us, it was different. With my mom, that time might be movie and pizza night, where we sit at home, watch movies, and eat pizza. With my dad, it might be getting up early in the morning, going jogging with him, and then eating Fig Newtons and cheddar cheese afterwards. Different from mommy, but it was quality time with daddy. Many times, whether dating, engaged, married, separated, or divorced, the only reason fathers are not more involved is because the mother does not want them to be. Unfortunately, many married mothers scoff at the idea of their husband doing the mom stuff. it makes them feel like they don't have a job in the house. I saw this on a kind of a depiction of this on that show. I think it's Orange is the New Black, or no, Blackish. It was Blackish. And in this episode, the father was taking on some more of the responsibilities of the mother at her request, because she was basically saying that she was she was overworked. She had a career, and then she comes home and she does all the mom stuff. And so then, the father, he decided to step in and start doing some of the mom stuff. Well, when he did that, she started feeling like she didn't have a job. So, as I was saying, like many married mothers scoff at the idea of their husband doing the mom stuff. It makes them feel like they don't have a job in the house. And the same goes for dating or engaged mothers. When I was married and I would be taking care of our baby when my ex-wife was at work, as soon as she would come through the door, she would come to where the baby and I were, and she'd just take her. She'd take her to another room as if to say, well, daddy's a decent substitute, but the true nurturer, mommy is on now. Many times, separated or divorced mothers do not want the father to be more involved either, but it is for more nefarious and more reprehensible reasons, usually involving money, unfortunately. The law should shield fathers from being frozen out of the lives of their children after a failed relationship. Fathers care. Fathers do care, and children are in great hands under the care of their fathers. We are not the irresponsible, fiery balls of testosterone that some would like to make us out to be. We are loving, caring fathers who too often have to fight an incredible fight to maintain that role after a failed relationship. Fathers care. In most cases, the lack of caring from the father is not the problem. The family court system is the problem. The system does not care about our children. The judges within the system, who unapologetically destroy father-child relationships on a daily basis, they do not care. Fathers care. Single fathers care, and it is up to us to change these unjust laws to focus on supporting the healthy relationships between single fathers and their children. Please join the coalition of 100,000 men and women. Please support the movement. Through the love that we have for our children, we will achieve justice for single fathers. Again, my name is John Purcell. My website is peaceofjustice.org. That's PEACE of justice.org. You can also get there through peaceofjustice.com. That's PEACE of justice.com. My contact information is posted below this video. Twitter, Facebook, my email address, my website, of course, Instagram. You can contact me on any one of those platforms, whichever one you prefer. Again, please go to my website, join the movement, join the coalition of 100,000 men and women. Let's get moving.
Hi. Más. Quiero más.
Ya.
Quiero más.
And you heard the words, I heard the words, every American heard them. It said some of them were very funny people. That's what she said. Does that concern you? And, she may still support him, but she's admitting that absolutely concerned her.
Two. Quiero más. Hi. Ow.
Let's start there. Let's start there. What do you mean? It needs to be better.
One.
Two.
Three. Three. Four.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.